My name's Tom. I'm an addict. I've been sober for 7 years and 3 months, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story today. So I grew up with a mom and dad and 2 other brothers. My dad worked on Wall Street. I grew up in New Jersey, and I played a lot of golf when I was a kid, and while I played golf, I was pretty good while I was growing up. I actually was able to shoot even par when I was 7 and 8 years old. I won a few international golf tournaments, and I was in Sports Illustrated, and I thought, I guess everybody thought I was going to be a professional golfer one day. And I guess as time went on, things at home started to start ripping apart a little bit. My mom and dad would they'd fight every night. I mean, you know, spit in each other's faces, call each other names, pretty much every single day. And that was hard growing up as a kid for me and my brothers. And so when I turned 13 years old, I smoked pot for the first time. And when I got high for the first time, it relieved some of that pain and anxiety and aggression, and it helped me feel okay. I felt good. I felt happy. So yeah, I started smoking pot pretty much every day and continuing to fail school. I was about 13 years old, and my parents got divorced that year as well. So my dad moved to Philadelphia, and I didn't speak to him very much. And I live with my mom now and my 2 other brothers, and continue just to pretty much do whatever I wanted to do. Got in trouble with a couple of my friends. We started a fire and burnt down a forest that day. We got an arson charge, and yeah, we all caught felonies and had to pay some pretty serious consequences. And I remember that first day after the fire happened, I saw one of my friends, so I'd go to their house every single day after school, and I asked him, I said, hey, you know, what are we doing today? What's going on? And he said to me, you know, Tom, you can't come to my house anymore. My mom thinks you're a bad kid. And I remember that moment. It was a big moment for me, and I remember thinking, well, you know, she thinks I'm bad. This isn't bad. Like, I will show her what bad really is. It's about 16 years old now. On my sophomore year in high school summer, I left for a few months, go do whatever I wanted to do, hang out with my friends, and I came back to my house a couple months after, and nobody was there. And the house I grew up in, and I called my older brother and I asked him, I said, you know, hey Kevin, what's going on? And he told me, yeah, my mom moved to California and didn't tell me. I remember that moment. It was very tough for me, and I felt very empty and lonely. And I remember that night, I got high that night, and it made me feel better. It worked. It gave me those positive feelings. It gave me affirmation that I didn't have, that I didn't get from home. It helped me get those feelings, and I just continued to fall more in love with drugs because they were helping me, and I continued to get high. And but eventually the pot and the alcohol just wasn't doing it for me anymore, and I wanted something more. I wanted something different. And so I tried a drug called Oxycontin, and yeah, the second I put it up my nose, I fell in love with it. At the time, I was living in Pennsylvania in a motel with a few of my friends, and a few months in, I remember one morning waking up, and I felt really sick. Like my legs were cramping, and I was sweating. When I was hot, I was sweating. I was cold. My body was changing temperatures a lot. I was very nauseous, and I remember I went to the bathroom and did my usual morning, and it made me feel better. And I started to realize that these drugs, I was having withdrawal symptoms from them, and they were making me physically sick. And I was like, all right, well, you got to get off this stuff. This is bad. I thought, I'm playing with fire here. I got to get clean. So I would try to detox myself off of it. That's what I would do. I would tell myself, well, get clean tomorrow. I'm just going to do it today. And every time I picked up, I really believed that I was going to be able to pick it up one time. I thought it was going to be a one day, put it down. And that's what I did. And as time went on, I started to get violently sick from these drugs. I was always on a 6-hour clock. Every 6 hours I'd become sick. I could feel every nerve and joint in my body. I would just be using to not be sick. That's what I'd have to do. I would just use to maintain some sort of physical healthiness, some sort of mental sanity. And I would have to use at nighttime to sleep. I wasn't allowed to sleep unless I had $60 worth of dope in my body. There's no questions asked. You don't sleep without $60 in your body. I thought I was going to live like that. I wasn't really scared that I was going to die like that. I thought I'm going to have to suffer like this and be alive. After trying to get off multiple times and my resources becoming very thin and being very, very broken inside. I mean, absolutely broken, and giving up and saying I can't quit anymore. I just can't do it. I called my dad in Texas and told him, I said, Dad, hey, I need some help. Can you help me? And he said, yeah, I'll book you a plane ticket to go to your grandparents' house right now. And so the plane ticket was 2 weeks out. And finally those 2 weeks came. Remember, I hopped on that airplane. And I was really scared. I was really scared, leaving my life, everything I knew. I didn't really know what I was going to do. We didn't really have any plans set up when I landed, but I landed at like 2 a.m. Remember, I saw my dad. He picked me up, and I told him, I was like, I need help. I need help, and he took me to a psychiatric hospital, and once I got there, I felt good walking in those doors. I felt safe for the first time in a long time. I felt at peace. I remember this lady hugged me and told me that you're gonna be okay. We're gonna help you here. And I haven't heard anything positive like that in a long time. When I heard her say that to me, and she actually meant it. And I, kind of hung on to it. So I got in there, and I did all the groups, and had all the therapy, and saw all that, got introduced to the 12 steps, and I slowly began to feel physically better. I stayed there for 15 days. I did what everyone told me to do. After they said go to a facility, a residential treatment center for 30 days, I went over there, and they told me that when I get out of there that I have to live this new way of life that I've learned in the past about 45 days. And if I don't, there's a good chance I will return to using drugs. It was very scary for me that my first day out, I remember my dad picked me up, and he said to me, as soon as I got in the car, he said, son, if you get high again, I wish you the best of luck, but please just don't call me and ask me for any more money. I said, all right, it's fair. So then we went to his house in San Antonio. That first night I went to an AA meeting because I knew if I didn't do the things they told me to do right away, I'd fall right back into bad habits. I was just so uncomfortable being back in the real world after being in treatment. Even though it was 45 days, it felt like a lifetime because my whole way of life had to change. It all had to become different now. And I started the first night, and then I woke up and they told me to go to outpatient. And to go to outpatient, I would walk about a mile in this Texas heat and take that to a bus stop, take that bus to a bus station, wait there 30 minutes for another bus, take that bus to another bus stop, and walk another mile to outpatient. I never missed a day, I was never late. And what drove me to go was I was having horrible cravings to use. So I would go to outpatient and I would tell them what was going on. I would vent, I'd open my mouth, and let them know that, hey, I wanted to use. And I'd be in the room with other people who are going through the same exact things with me. We'd all relate, and we'd all try to get through it together. Obviously, not all of us remained clean. But at that time, I also got a job as a housekeeper in San Antonio, Texas. Cleaning toilets, making beds. And for me, it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. I finally felt a sense of belonging. I felt like I was a part of society, like I was doing something. I don't know, I felt a part of for the first time, even if it was just making beds and cleaning toilets. I mean, I felt a part of. And got a sponsor at these meetings. I'd go to these 12-step meetings, and we worked the 12 steps together. It helped remove the desire to use slowly from my life. I wouldn't say it got totally taken away. Yeah, I definitely will say it didn't just get taken away from working the steps, but over time, and the closer I became with the higher power, God, the cravings to use became slowly less. Then I remember someone told me I should go back to college, and at first I was like, you're crazy, I'm not going back to school, school's out, I'm not going back. But thought more about my future, and I heard about a program where if you have a year sober, they'll give you a scholarship to go to school at Texas Tech University. And I heard about this, and I knew a lot of other universities did it too. And I applied to the Texas Tech program. I got in, and couldn't believe it. I got a 0.0 at Penn State. I finished second to last in my high school class. Didn't know how to study or do anything. I never studied. I went to summer school every single year in high school. I remember I landed in Lubbock, Texas, and I instantly made friends. I started going to meetings and got a sponsor, and this time I started going to class too, threw it on there, and went to every class, every AA meeting, never skipped. And I remember at the end of that first semester, I genuinely didn't know if I was gonna get all Fs or all As. I didn't know the difference. I just always failed. I didn't know it was possible for me to get anything else but an F. And I remember I made honors that first semester, which blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. I'd say about after that year, when I came down to Tech, is really when all my cravings went away, about a year in, and I was just able to find that joy and happiness in my life that I never had when I was a kid. But through it all, and I guess finding God and working with God, and I became happy and found joy and became happy, joyous, and free in my life today. And after those 4 years, I decided I wanted to, work in the recovery field. I think a lot of us do. I do therapeutic transports for adolescents today. And what we do is, we help take kids to treatment centers whose families are unable to get them there on their own. And I have a lot of really good friends today in Dallas. I have a lot of good friends in general. I have a good relationship with my father, a lot better than it used to be. I talk to both of my brothers today. And I guess the whole solution, the whole reason on how it's all possible for me, it's a higher power, it's God. I mean, for me, He's the one that helped take the cravings away and helps show me a new way to live. Without my higher power, God, I don't think any of this could have been possible in my life. Yeah, that's my story, and thank you for letting me share.